Welcome back to the channel. I'm Holly if you're new, and today we're talking about cadence as it pertains to running. Cadence is going to be the number of steps you take per minute while you're running. And if you're new to this, you probably are wondering why that even matters. But the main thing you need to know is that if your cadence is on the lower side, meaning you take less steps per minute, it means you are landing on each step for longer, which can increase the amount of wear and tear you feel on your body. People dealing with shin splints, stress fractures even, knee pain, unnecessary tightness through the ankles, you can barely kiss those heels to the ground, the list goes on and on. But you're feeling that likely in part, if not majority, because of your cadence being low. And we're gonna fix that today. I'm gonna help you guys track exactly what it is now and show you how to improve it over time in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming or like it's ruining your workouts. Let's jump right in. To get the most out of this video, you'll first need to start with what your current cadence is. If you don't know that, you can use a few different tools for this. Number one, your running watch is going to be your best friend if you have one. Pretty much any running watch, even the cheapest ones, will calculate your cadence. So what you're going to do is go out for a run, could literally be a quarter mile, half mile, just to get that average cadence on what feels to you like a medium effort run. Second thing you could do is count for yourself. So say you're out for that, again, medium effort run is just a good starting spot. And you're in the middle and you pick 1 minute to count, maybe just one side of your steps, obviously double that. We now have the general sense of your current cadence. Lastly, super helpful, you can video yourself, set up your camera down on the ground, run towards the camera, run away, and run side to side. If you notice that your hips are back, you're leaned over, you're shuffling, barely lifting your feet off the ground, there's a really good chance your cadence is low, and we can just start from knowing that. Everybody talks about this number 180. If you have not heard of it, now that I'm bringing cadence to your awareness, you are going to. It seems to be this magic golden number that we're all striving for, but I want to point out that I'm not making this video to get you to 180. We're all different, we're different heights, sizes, we have different stride length. There's a lot to consider here, so I'm not having us all blindly chase this. My point of this video is that if your cadence is low, and I'm going to call that 160 and below, 165 and below, I want to get that up in whatever way we can safely. If you've watched even a couple of the videos on my channel, or maybe you've watched me for a while, even back at Run Experience, you know how passionate I am about running correctly. Proper run form being what leads you to easier running, to less impact on the body, keeping you doing it for years and years. What you don't know possibly is that correct run form actually gives you the ability to increase that cadence very easily without added energy needed. You don't need to increase your fitness level just to increase your cadence when you're running properly. So a quick refresher first on the form to show you how you're going to work on this cadence going up. All right, so if you've seen a video of you running before, or maybe you film one after this, you might see that you are quite literally shuffling as you run forward, using the force from the push-off on the ground to take your next step. Nothing wrong with that for a little bit of time, but over time, you're gonna really feel that impact. Maybe it's why you clicked on this video in the first place. So I would show you like this. This would be something I wouldn't like to see, hunched over, hips back, and kind of just getting along by just pushing off the ground and dragging that leg forward, just like that. I'm obviously exaggerating a little bit, but for some of you, it really might look like that at the end of your race, the classic marathon shuffle. What we're not doing in that type of run form is picking our feet up by choice. We're not starting the step with an instinct that we've already created through a form drill. We are just simply using whatever we have to drag and swing the foot across to come and step forward. And that's not good enough, especially if we're gonna be running for days, weeks, months, years on end. So what I wanna show you here, guys, is the pose method. I don't take credit for this, but I super believe in this as the best way to run. If you've done this before with me, no harm in doing it again. Always good to freshen up here. Really quickly, guys, we're gonna start with that high knee in place, just lifting it up and down, squeezing those abs and down. Awesome. We're gonna do the same thing here with a butt kick. You're gonna pull that heel up to the butt, drop it down, up and down, just like this. Nice and easy, getting that hamstring working, but leaving that knee going as straight down as possible. One more. Awesome, and now we're gonna find what is between the two positions we just did. So knee still comes up, but hamstring engages. That's gonna be that number 4, right up the middle and down. Number 4, down. We can start to let that ankle be loose and slam it to the ground right under our hip. Perfect. Now, guys, I want you to do half the size of that number 4. So just halfway up and down, halfway up and down, just like this. This is essentially your new running position. I can show you and will show you how to take that quickly, slowly, with a larger step, with a smaller step. But this is the essential basics of this form here, just that mini number 4 right under the hips. I'm gonna show you how to practice this in actual running form, but this is the basic position. To reiterate, right, the cadence being so important here, being able to quickly move the feet, which comes from being in the right form in the first place, helps us avoid landing for too long per step. In that first hunched over shuffle I showed you, you are landing on each of your feet for much longer than you need to be, which adds a lot of weight and force to each landing. Over time, this really can screw with your shins, hips, knees, if it isn't already. So just a reminder here, that's what we're fighting with this higher cadence. This is where the magic happens, guys. I know you're wondering, when is she going to talk about cadence? This is going on and on, but I promise without that form, it's impossible to practice increasing it. So now we work on this, and I'm going to be using my Coros watch. You guys know I love this. Not the price point of a Garmin, much lower. I think this is about 300 bucks. I will link it below. But what the best part of this watch is to me is it has a built-in metronome. So I actually can set this to any BPM I want, and I can practice running to that beat. This is such a great way to check my work in real time and really make sure that I'm finding a comfortable way to stay on that so that I can teach myself, okay, this is what it feels like in my next run. So I'm going to set this first to number 170, good starting spot. And I'm going to first just find an easy jog in place. Literally not even going to think about any of the form stuff we did, just easy jog, relaxed ankles, just like this. And then as I start to feel comfortable, I'm just going to try to land my feet on the beat. Doesn't matter again what it looks like. Just trying to contact the ground on the beat. Now, I have a ballet background, so maybe this is a little easier for me, but you guys get it, it's very simple. From here, all I'm gonna do is think about that mini number 4. Maybe every few steps, maybe a couple steps and then stop. And I'm just gonna see, can I bring that foot up quickly to stay on this beat? Just like this. Just a couple, maybe go back to that jog. Maybe one, back to that jog. But I remember what it feels like to bring it up in that mini number 4 without changing my hips or my shoulders. If I want to try a couple in a row, if I stiffen and flex my feet, a lot harder. If I get my hips back, a lot harder. Hips are forward, loose ankles to land, and rest. I'm not going to drown out with so much beeping, but you guys get the point. So this is 170, right? So I'm practicing it in place. What good is this if we can't actually take it into the forward motion of running? So I'm going to put it on 170 again. I'm going to start over here. I'm going to go in place and then take myself forward. You might be wondering, how do I take myself forward if I'm taking the smallest steps under my hips? How do I make that a forward motion? That comes strictly from the hips. I want you to picture, I've got someone behind me, right behind here, pushing me forward, but I'm not allowed to lean over. I do exactly what I'm doing. I'm just using force from behind my hips to bring me forward. I don't need a person to push me. I can actually feel the sensation myself, but I want you to imagine that. So we go right back here. Easy in place again. This doesn't have to be pretty form yet, but just starting to channel those small little pickups, right? Very little effort, just bending the knee on the beat. Perfect. Now from here, I picture that push, take it forward. Other way. Good. All right, you're getting the concept here. This is how we start, and this is how we learn what our body needs to do to hold that number, especially if it's higher than what we're used to. For a little comparison, I'm gonna put it at 150, and I'm gonna have you guys hear that beep all the way down, and I'm gonna try to run in the same form at this lower cadence, okay? So in place, just easy jog, and then when I feel like I can start to match the beat, I will. Just like this. You already see it looks sloppy, it has to. I am staying on each foot probably twice as long as I was before, and I take that forward. Can definitely still keep my hips forward. It is not pretty and it doesn't feel good. I can tell you my glutes are already sore and kind of tired, but not in the way where they're being used, more in the way of we're slamming into a certain angle I don't really like. So just comparing to that metronome is a nice way to kind of understand what feels better and what doesn't. And from here we can build, guys. Now I want to point out, you guys, that I have not discussed speed at all yet in this video. High cadence does not equal high speed. They are not equal to each other. You can do a very high cadence at a low speed and also at a high speed. The higher cadence makes things more comfortable. If you are someone who finds yourself plateaued at a certain distance or a certain amount of time that you run at and you can't get past that time or that distance, it might be that you are going out too hard. And when I tell you slow down, it might just feel too uncomfortable to do so. So you really just find yourself going to that normal gait that you always are at, that speed you're always at, because it's too uncomfortable to slow down. Hopefully with this, you now see you can keep that high cadence even at a slow speed. It's all dependent on the force from your hips. And of course, that stride length as well. So if I want to just find that 170-ish in place, and I want to go slow as hell, really, really slow, I can barely take this forward. Again, hips are driving me. I can keep that same cadence here, and I can go fast. It is up to me, but I can't tell you until you practice this, you won't notice. The cadence being the same is what keeps it comfortable. That high cadence makes both the high and low speeds feel like you can do it for forever. It is an efficient way to pick your feet up. If you guys aren't sold yet, I want you to take this to the hills and go up a hill at a low cadence and a high cadence and tell me which is more comfortable. Your body will find the position it needs to increase that cadence. Take so much less effort going up the hill. The bigger we reach out on that incline, the harder it is to push off, get our weight up. We are smoked so much sooner rather than taking those nice quick steps, hips under, using those glutes and chugging up along the hill. I'm telling you guys, this is what I've learned in so many races, especially the mountain ones. All right, cherry on top here. This is what you're gonna do to practice this and make it a normal part of your running. On your next medium effort run, this could be 20 minutes, could be an hour, whatever it is, you're gonna pick 4 times throughout the run, just a 2-minute chunk to do the following. You're gonna do 10 pulls on the left leg. That's gonna be that high number 4 between the high knee and the butt kick, that number 4 up. Could be in place, you're in the middle of your run. Could be actually continuing to move forward on your own time. They don't all have to be in a row. Could be a couple, keep running, whatever it is. You're gonna pull 10 times all the way up on the left. Pull 10 times all the way up on the right. Again, in place or forward, you're landing on the left to pull the right. This won't be pretty at first, and then you'll get really good at it. 10 and 10, you then go to 20 mini number 4s, alternated right in a row here. You can take this forward, probably more comfortable that way. Hips are forward, of course. And from there, the last thing is 1 minute at what you consider to be a higher cadence than your normal. Practicing that higher cadence, keeping the form we've worked on. You can use a metronome. There aren't great apps that I've found. The watch is really the best I've found so far, but I will link below. Spotify does playlists set at different BPMs, which is super cool. So the songs have the tempo of 170, 175. Say you're at a 150 right now, I would start by working at a 160-ish and then building maybe by 2 or 4 each week. Don't get too caught up in this. And again, we're not aiming for 180. We're aiming for you to feel the benefits of the higher cadence. So you've got 10 pulls on the left, 10 pulls on the right, 20 mini pulls together, and 1 minute holding on to that higher cadence, even if you've got nothing to track it with, just using the mental of it, knowing you're picking your feet up faster. You're gonna do that 4 times in that run, and that's gonna be your practice. Maybe do that once or twice a week. That should do it for you guys. I hope I described this well enough. Give it a couple weeks of practice and get back to me. If we need a part 2, you know I will make it. Fun fact, that drill that I'm giving you guys to do is what I use in every single race several times throughout to refresh my legs. It works like a charm. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let me know what else you want to see, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.